Senator Miller.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that further proceedings on the roll call be dispensed with and the Sergeant at Arms be instructed to bring in the absent members.
To that motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the motion does prevail. The Secretary will close the roll. Members, please stand for the prayer. Today I ask members to pause for a moment of silent prayer and reflection, and following the prayer, please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Members, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Secretary will take the roll.
Senators Abler, Anderson, Bach, Benson, Bigham, Carlson, Chamberlain, Champion, Clausen, Coleman, Swazinski, Dames, Dibble, Dornick, Draheim, Duckworth, Dietzick, Eaton, Eichhorn, Eakin, Fateh, Gazelka, Goggin, Herr, Hoffman, Housley, Howe, Ingebrigtsen, Friends. Where was I? Friends. Hoffman, Housley, Howe, Ingebrigtsen, Isaacson, Jasinski, Johnson, Johnson, Stewart, Kent, Kiffmeyer, Klein, Coran, Kunish, Lang, Latz, Limmer, Lopez, Franzen, Marty, Matthews, McEwen, Miller, Murphy, Nelson, Newman, Newton, Osmic, Pappas, Port, Pratt, Putnam, Rarick, Rest, Rosen, Rude, Senjum, Tomasoni, Torres, Ray, Etke, Weber, Western, Uyghur, Wickland.
Pursuant to Rule 14.1, the following members intend to vote under Rule 40.7. Senators Anderson, Chamberlain, Coleman, Eakin, Fateh, Howe, Kiffmeyer, Lang, Newman, Senjum, Tomasoni, and Wickland. A quorum is present. Being under the third order of business, messages from the House, the Secretary will read the messages.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce the passage by the House of the following Senate files herewith returned. Senate File number 1391, a bill for an act relating to commerce, and Senate File number 3850, a bill related to civil law. Patrick D. Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
No action is required. The Secretary will read the next message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce the passage by the House of the following Senate file as amended by the House, in which the amendments to the concurrence of the Senate is respectfully requested. Senate File number 2922, a bill for an act relating to commerce. Senate File number 2922 is herewith returned to the Senate. Patrick D. Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
Senator Housley.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate concur in the amendments by the House to Senate File 2922 and that the bill be placed on repassage as amended.
To that motion, Senator Housley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, last week we passed Senate File 2922, which will allow debt collector professionals to continue to work from home as they've been doing for the past 2 years since the start of COVID. The House attached an additional provision that came out of discussions in an interim working group with the Department of Commerce that examined the language barriers in debt collections. The new provisions creates a disclosure form that provides information on how to access financial counseling services in the 6 most commonly spoken languages in Minnesota. The form is going to be prepared by the Department of Commerce and sent to all Minnesota debtors by collections agency. Members, this is a great example of how the stakeholders work together through this process and reach consensus, and it'll help Minnesotans, and I'm happy that it's a part of my bill. Overall, again, this provides the flexibility to be working from home for these collection employees, and I ask for your support.
Members, you can see House Journal, May 17th, page 13182, and third reading, Senate Journal, May 10th, page 8181. To the motion to concur, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the motion does prevail. Secretary will give the bill its third reading.
Senate File number 2922.
Third reading. Any further discussion? Seeing none, the Secretary will take the roll on final passage of Senate File 2922. Call on Senator Frentz to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm glad to report Senator Eakin votes aye.
Eakin votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Fateh votes aye.
Fateh votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Latz votes aye.
Latz votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator McEwen votes aye.
McEwen votes aye. Senator Frentz.
And Senator Wicklund votes aye.
Wicklund votes aye. Call on Senator Jasinski to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson votes aye.
Anderson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Chamberlain votes aye.
Chamberlain votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Coleman votes aye.
Coleman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Lang votes aye.
Lang votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Newman votes aye.
Newman votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senjum votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Abler votes aye.
Abler votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Thomasoni votes aye.
Thomasoni votes aye. You're funny.
Mr. President,
Senator Jasinski.
Senator Howe votes aye.
All votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Kiffmeyer votes aye. Thank you.
Kiffmeyer votes aye. All members having voted with the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 63 ayes and no nays, Senate File 2922 does pass and is title agreed to. Moving to the remaining under third order business, the Secretary will read the next message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce that the House refuses to concur in the Senate amendments to House File number 961, a bill for an act relating to labor, adding a supervisory law enforcement unit, appropriating money. The House respectfully requests that a conference committee of 3 members be appointed thereon. Eklund, Greenman, and Novotny have been appointed as such committee on the part of the House. Senate File number 961 is herewith returned to the Senate with the request that the Senate appoint a like committee. Patrick D. Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
Senator Miller.
Thank you, Mr. President. On behalf of Senator Howe, I move that the Senate accede to the request of the House for a conference committee on House File number 961, and that a conference committee of 3 members be appointed by the Subcommittee on Conference Committees on the part of the Senate to act with a like conference committee appointed on the part of the House.
To that motion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the motion does prevail. Secretary, read the next message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce the passage by the House of the following House files herewith transmitted. House file numbers 1829, 2354, and 2665. Patrick D. Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
No action is required. We move to the fourth order of business, first reading House bills. The House files are given their first reading or referred as indicated. Moving to the fifth order of business, reports of committees. Senator Miller.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the committee reports printed in the agenda be adopted.
To that motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion does prevail. Moving to the seventh order of business, second reading of House bills. The Secretary will read the House file number.
House file number 4030.
The House file is given its second reading. Moving to the eighth order of business, introduction of first reading of Senate bills. The bills on today's introduction calendar are given their first reading and referred as indicated. Moving to the ninth order of business, the Secretary will read the resolution.
Senators Miller and Lopez Franson introduce Senate Resolution number 142, a Senate resolution commemorating the lives and work of deceased senators.
Senator Miller.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Senate Resolution number 142 be adopted. Members, this resolution is on your desk, and this is something that we do every couple of years here in the Senate. And what it does is it honors the past members of this chamber who have lost their lives in the last couple of years. And I'm not going to read the resolution, but what this really does is it's a way for us to not only say thank you and honor these members that have passed away, but really a way to honor their families for all their hard work and commitment and dedication, not only to the districts that they represented, but to the people across the state of Minnesota.
Senator Lopez Franson.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I would also rise in support of this motion. Obviously, remembering our colleagues, some of which we have served with, Senator Ralph, Senator Scalzi, and many of us have also known Senator or Jim Ramstad as well, Congressman Ramstad. So many of the members in this list are service people who have done so much for our state, and we want to honor their lives and remember their contributions to our great state. Thank you.
To the motion on the resolution, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion does prevail. Members, please rise for a moment of silence in respect to our predecessors who are no longer with us. Thank you, members. Senator Johnson. Senator Johnson.
Sorry. Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate do not concur on amendments of the House.
We have to take the bill from the table first.
I move that Senate File 4476 be taken from the table.
To that motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, the motion does prevail. Senator Johnson.
All right. Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate do not concur with the amendments in the House to Senate File 4476, and that a conference committee of 3 members be appointed by the Subcommittee on Conference Committees on the part of the Senate to act with a like conference committee appointed on the part of the House.
Senator Johnson, do you want to explain what the bill briefly was?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. So this is just simply the redistricting technical changes that we had passed off the floor earlier last month.
To that motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the motion does prevail. Senator Lopez Franzen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Senate File 757 will be withdrawn from the Committee on Judiciary and Public Safety, Finance, and Policy, given a second reading and placed on general orders.
To the motion to withdraw from committee, Senator Lopez Franzen.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. Back in 2019, I authored a bill that would make Minnesota the 19th state in the nation to legalize cannabis. And since I first introduced it with bipartisan support, the bill has received only one hearing in the Minnesota Senate. Over the past 2 years, I've requested hearings multiple times, not only to have them rejected by the majority. The House has passed a bill on a bipartisan level to legalize cannabis, and Governor Walz supports it. 18 other states also have legalized cannabis. We all know that legalization would have economic benefits, but there's other urgent aspects of my legislation. Members, with all the discussion about public safety this year, we also need to address disparities in the criminal justice system around cannabis that disproportionately impact communities of color. That's why I'm asking to make this urgent motion to bring my bill to the floor. Minnesotans want to have this discussion and conversation about legalization of cannabis, and they broadly support moving ahead with this legislation. They expect us to debate the merits of this proposal and not block the conversation from happening. We not only urgently need to have this conversation, but we need to pass this, and this is our chance. Members, this bill also passed 14 committees in the Minnesota House. It has been properly vetted. We just need to give it a chance in the Senate to also do the same, do our work, and pass legalization. So I'm offering a motion to withdraw Senate File 757 from the committee and bring it to the floor today. I encourage your support.
To the motion.
And roll call, please.
Roll call requested, roll call granted. To the motion to withdraw and place on general orders, further discussion. Senator Putnam.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I rise to speak to the urgency of this issue, and I think it's important that we acknowledge at the outset that we are not actually debating the issue itself right now. We're talking about whether or not it's urgent for us to talk about it in the first place. And clearly you lose nothing in debate, nothing in conversation. But this is a conversation that is actually a compelling need as well for two reasons. The first of which is that I have heard members in this floor and people throughout Minnesota talk about the inhibition of freedom itself being an urgent call. When we fear possibilities of government overreach or government making decisions for us, we have all at some point probably expressed our concern about that and the urgent need to stand up and have our voices heard when we feel like they aren't being heard. And right now, members, Mr. President, the voices of Minnesotans are not being heard. What could be more urgent than listening to Minnesotans? Secondly, I had a conversation with a law enforcement officer in my community just a couple weeks ago, and we were talking a little bit about this issue and that, and he expressed to me, one, that he thinks the prohibition on cannabis is irrational, but secondly, and more importantly, that it takes away his time from doing things that he needs to do. His words, not mine. It stops him from dealing with real crime and real criminals. Now, we have talked about public safety. We have talked about the mental health and the struggles and the burdens that our law enforcement suffer right now. This is one quick and easy way to ameliorate that difficulty and to make lives a little bit easier on our law enforcement officers who are struggling every day. Mr. President, members, again, we are not talking about the urgency of the issue itself. We're talking about whether or not we can talk about it. And this is an urgent conversation that should occur soon, and I urge a green vote.
Members, just a reminder, this is to withdraw and place in general orders. This is not to debate the underlying bill itself. Senator Port.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also rise in support of the urgency of this issue. We are here to move forward the will of Minnesotans, and a majority of Minnesotans support legalizing cannabis. We owe it to our constituents, and especially the communities who are most harmed by this prohibition, to at least have that conversation. And with only days left in this session, the need is urgent. 18 other states that have legalized cannabis have seen law enforcement be able to focus on and solve other types of crime. And in a time when not all Minnesotans feel safe in their communities, and that has been a big part of our work here in the Minnesota Senate, we should be doing everything that we can to support the police in their efforts to address public safety issues. It is urgent that this bill be included in as part of that conversation. Our current cannabis laws do more harm than good, and focusing on those low-level cannabis offenses has led to the incredible racial disparities in our criminal justice system and injustice in our communities. It's a disparity that is urgent for us to address, and we cannot ignore how it affects these communities' abilities to get housing, to raise stable families, to pursue higher education, and to even have their voices heard through their vote. It is urgent that we move forward, that we grapple with defining public safety and protecting Minnesotans, and legalizing cannabis needs to be part of that conversation.
Senator Ingebretson.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. It'd probably be no surprise to you that I'm standing up with regards to the legalization of this very dangerous drug. Constantly coming to the legislature. And now I'm hearing it's urgent. It's really urgent that we do this, so we do the cops a favor by legalizing a drug. I can't hardly believe what I'm hearing. We don't have a quantitative way of testing, so when there's a crash out there, if the person's been using marijuana, we can't even test it. They can't even test it. If they're under the influence of that, they can't test it. I can't believe that we're even talking about that. I'm wondering if the proponents of this have ever,
Mr. President.
Senator Ingebretson, Senator Lopez-Franzen has risen to a point of order. Sure. Senator Lopez-Franzen, please state your point of order.
Mr. President, as you reminded us that we're not debating the substance of the bill, and I think our colleague is doing just that.
You are correct. I have already spoken once on that subject. I think I let a few of you individuals have a certain level of discussion on this. Certainly Senator Port went off a little bit. I think Senator Ingebretson was just wrapping up his comment. Senator Ingebretson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I guess there is no other voice on the other side. I can't imagine this. Quite frankly, has anybody ever considered the carcinogens that we're going to be putting in our lungs? I think the same people that are talking about legalizing this are probably big donors to the American Cancer Society and the Heart Association. I mean, I could just go on and on and on, and I'm not going to do that, members. So this is not helping police. Actually, you know what? If it's voted in, it's going to be something that the police are going to have a little more security, because they're going to be cleaning up a lot more accidents on our highways. So please vote no.
Again, members, we do want to try and stick to the urgency of withdrawing from committee and placing on general orders. Obviously, you need to speak to some portions of the bill and talk about that urgency, but both sides now have gone a little bit off, and I'd certainly like to get to a vote on this at some point in time. Next up is Senator Dibble.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, for one, appreciate the leeway that you've extended to Senator Ingebretson, because it speaks to the urgency of taking this matter up for debate. The fact of the matter is that a majority of Minnesotans want to have this discussion and this debate, and this conversation has been completely quashed by the majority. We are ready to have this conversation in the state of Minnesota. A majority of Minnesotans want it, and then we could examine the statements that Senator Ingebretson has made, which are objectively and patently not true, and we can have that opportunity if, in fact, this bill were brought out of committee and placed on the Senate floor for conversation and debate. Thank you, Mr. President.
All fair and excellent points to the reason to bring the bill to the floor. Senator Johnson Stewart.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also rise to support this bill being taken out of committee. Just less than 10 days ago, a friend of one of my nephews was killed in a marijuana deal gone bad. How many more lives do we have to lose from illegal activity that should frankly be at least discussed as being not illegal? We need to bring this to the light of day, and I strongly support Senator Lopez-Franzen's motion.
Senator Murphy.
Thank you, Mr. President and members. I'll do my best here. I rise in support of Leader Lopez Franson's motion to move Senate File 757 from committee and to be placed onto general orders. And I want to echo what I've heard from many of my colleagues, both sides of the aisle, that this is an issue that has found its time, and it is right that this body take up the issue for a conversation, for a full debate of its merits, for the pros and the cons, so we can make a decision. Minnesotans elect us, Mr. President, to take on the tough issues that we face, and this is one of them. But I will say Minnesotans have been talking about this issue for more than a decade. They are, as often is the case, they are ahead of us, and they are waiting for us to act on this issue, and that is why Leader Lopez Franson's motion is so urgent today. While it has been described, Mr. President, as a partisan issue, it is really only partisan inside this chamber. Minnesotans of a variety of ideologies support this idea, but it is being halted, that debate, that discussion halted right now by the majority, and by halting the discussion, the urgent discussion inside this chamber, we are also halting a regulation that would improve safety. Me, as a registered nurse, regulation would improve safety. It means we are halting the advancement of good-paying jobs that would result from this action, and it means that we are halting the important discussion about justice and equity, two important parts of this urgent motion that need our full examination and our full discussion. Legalizing and regulating cannabis is something Minnesotans have been talking about, and it's time for this body to take it up. Let's give it a chance. It's time. Please vote green. Please vote green on Senate File, on the motion of Leader Lopez Franson. Thank you.
Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll on the motion to withdraw and place on general orders. Members, just as a reminder, this does require a 3/5 vote. Call on Senator Frentz to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. President. I report Senator Bigham votes aye.
Bigham votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eakin votes aye.
Eakin votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Fateh votes aye.
Fateh votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Latz votes aye.
Latz votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator McEwen votes aye.
McEwen votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Wicklund votes aye.
Wicklund votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Kunish votes aye.
Kunish votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Newton votes aye.
Newton votes aye. Senator
And
Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. President. And Senator Champion votes aye.
Champion votes aye. Call on Senator Jasinski to report members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson votes no.
Anderson votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Chamberlain votes no.
Chamberlain votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Coleman votes no.
Coleman votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Howell votes no.
Howell votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Kiffmeyer votes no.
Kiffmeyer votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Lang votes no.
Lang votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Newman votes no.
Newman votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Senjum votes no.
Senjum votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Tomasoni votes aye.
Tomasoni votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Senator Pratt votes no.
Pratt votes nay. Senator Jasinski.
And thank you, Mr. President. Senator Rarick votes no.
Rarick votes nay.
Mr. President, I reported a no vote for Senator Senjum.
Senjum votes nay. All members having voted with the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 31 ayes and 33 nays, the motion to withdraw and place on general orders does not prevail. Remaining under motions and resolutions, we revert to the fifth order of business, reports of committee. The Secretary will read the report.
Senator Rosen from the Committee on Finance, to which was referred Senate File Number 3266, a bill for an act relating to state government finance, adjusting the calculation for the Stadium General Reserve account. Reports the same back with a recommendation that the bill be amended as follows, and when so amended, the bill do pass.
Senator Miller.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the committee report read by the Secretary be adopted.
To that motion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the motion does prevail. Moving to the sixth order of business, second reading of Senate bills. The Secretary will read the Senate bill number.
Senate File Number 3266.
Second reading. Secretary will give the Senate file its second reading. Oh, we did that. Second reading. All right. We are now moving to the we're going to motions and resolutions. Are there any announcements prior to recess? Announcements. Senator Miller.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that the Senate recess to the call of the President. Members, we're thinking hopefully around 1 o'clock p.m. We'll be back, so just a little bit more than an hour is our estimate. We'll keep members apprised of that time and give proper notice, and Republicans will caucus immediately upon recess upstairs in room 303.
To the motion to recess, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed, the motion does prevail. Senate's in recess.